Good morning, good day to you. As usual, whenever it is. And today's series of knowledge is program from Keshe Foundation, Special Institute. We are back and with a lot of joyful time to come and a lot of things to be able to learn and to share. In the process of creation, mankind always has looked at the physical dimension and not on the dimension of the creation and how the two merges. Past few weeks we've shown how your body is structured through amino acid. That one part is a physical and one part is the universal energy. And in the physical part, you communicate with voice, with noise, with sight, with everything else, with kicking or whatever, that one knows you exist and what you're communicating. On the other side, which is the energy side, which is connected to universal line of energies where we are created to what I call, this is the string at the end of the balloon, which connects the balloon to somebody's hand or a source, a point, where the balloon is the body of the man, physicality of the man. We have to see how that side communicates. We visualize our dream. We visualize it because we have the coding system, which once the energy enters it, that decoding system creates its own image. And then we see it as dream, or we receive it as a noise, information, or whatever. This is what we do. We send a message down the computer lines, and then when it receives by the other side, the other end, it converts it to an image. Then we know this is what image the other side has sent. Or the interaction of the fields has created, we call it the noise or lines on the screen we see. Some of it is made by the person sending you the picture, and some of it is lines and noises which is made by the equipment itself, which is still manifests itself as an image on the screen. So our brain is an image converter from the energies which it receives, and man calls this a dream. When he sees the conversion through the eye holes, which comes through the eye neurosystem to the brain, we call it the image of reality of physicality. But unfortunately, the dimension of the energy fields of the universe, which work on the dimension of the energy side of the brain, is still interact with this material called the brain of the man. And each information, once it's done, has certain strength, which converts itself to the image of what we call the dream. Because now it's converted as energy. And we know what these energies are. One energy is the level of the mother, one energy is the level of a stone, the flower, and everything else, which our brain recognizes that. But how much of it does our brain deciphers, and some of it doesn't decipher because it does have no reference point to it. What does this mean? Is like, I spoke with the Chinese, with the eyes not centralized, one eye looks a slightly different way to the other, so the brain continuously decides which eye is giving the right information, and you recognize it as being. If you close the eye of a Chinese man, or a woman, which has this defect on the eye, and just try to carry them the information, they are in a huge dilemma. Because they trust the ears both to give the same, but they don't trust the eyes. Because it's automatically needs confirmation of. It's very easy to confuse the Chinese with the eye repositioning. It's extremely easy to do. Because they visually, what they see, the brain automatically by birth has recognized which picture is real or mixture of the two gives them three-dimensional reality. It's the same with our brain. We receive the information in a three-dimensional, and then our brain deciphers. It's a decoder. And then during the day, that image is continuously there, but we have nobody working on that screen. It's like you've seen these new system that they put two monitors next to each other to make a half circle monitor. Nobody is watching the left, what they call monitor. You're only watching the right monitor, which is your physical dimension of life. If you learn to be able to monitor and watch the both the screen at the same time, then the life becomes interesting. Because on one side, you have the physical dimension when you're looking, and one side is the what we call universal energy dimension covered in the brain. This is what our transmutation at the moment is doing with a lot of knowledge seekers. They see themselves physically, but they go somewhere else in energy, but they're aware of the body still left. As our Australian friend wrote a couple of days ago, I was in Athens, I could feel, I could touch, everything was so real, but I knew my physical body is at home. This is the next step, to be able to create a trust in when you're in Athens, to call the physicality over, to give the trust that I can come back home. The reason you have watching one of the screens and both of the screens, due to the training you're getting from the Keshe Foundation, plus on top of what we naturally know, has to become a norm. In a way, I want to cross the road, I can see the car, I can see the drivers, whatever. Then I look at my energy side, which is connected to the energy side of the driver. Sorry, I'm thinking about my grandmother, I have no attention to the road, don't cross, to get the physicality to a stop, because I'm going to hit it, because the guy is dreaming somewhere else. And this is why suddenly you're crossing the road and somebody pulls you back. It's the energy side, the soul side, where with the driver's side that's coming, you pull it back. If you close your eyes and go into the repair condition, what we call sleep, now the left screen is working. And the information still comes. The brain has to decide what you call it, a dream. Man has not learned to use, to be aware, to collaborate the energy side with the physical side. And this is why man has a problem even in transmutation, because in watching the two screen, he has a problem, let alone bringing, to be able to bring the left screen on the right side, or the right side on the left side, and collaborate the two to get one screen. Why do you need two? Why do you need two eyes? Man, in the passage of space, when he becomes man of space, you'll find many creatures use only one eye. Because the dimension of the trust in the line of the connection to universal energy and a physical dimension is one. Very few creatures, very few creatures in the universal community are like man with two eyes and everything in two parts, because of the matter state of the, what you call it, the creation. Now, this is the problem we have with you lot. When we get you into the wellness system individually, and you are there to do something, we see the whole both side comes together. You read of one hymn sheet. When we put you in a group trying to transmute you, or put you individually in transmission, the lack of trust eliminates the power of transmutation. How can you build this? How can you change this? How can you become the controller of the whole structure of your life? As one of knowledge seeker says, I was dreaming, and in a dream I had a dream. In my dream, I was dreaming about such and such a thing. Now, imagine that. What does it mean? It means in the dimension of the energy of the universe, you still can dream. It's the extension of evolution in understanding. The way you dream in a physical condition through the soul of physicality and physicality, which has nothing to do with a connection to a universal line, the soul of the man has the same characteristics. In a way, through connection with the fields of the creator, the essence of the creation, sees the connection of what needs the energy level to do. Then you bring that at the same time hitting the, what I call the translator, the transformer of the energy, which is the brain of the man, to become information that you see a dream of a dream. And then at the same time, you have a dream of physicality. In the process of creation, this is part of the structure of understanding how you will be able to transmute and how you'll be able to transfer. A lot of people call it deja vu in English, in French. That means I've seen this before, I've been there. It's just like a repeat of. There's not a repeat of. There is nothing called I've seen this before. You see what you think you've seen in the dimension and image of what your soul has seen. On the string attached to the physicality. And now you bring the two images together, then you say, oh, in physicality is what actually I've seen in the dimension of energy. But don't forget, it has a problem. The problem is, brain of the man is physical. The soul is aware of, inform the brain. Now physicality sees is a time delay. It's like when you speak on Earth and the guy listens on the moon. You have a time delay. So what soul sees in the dimension of his energy, physicality sees in the dimension of physicality. And then you say, I've seen this before. It's like a deja vu. Why? Now you understand. The speed of dimension of the universal energy is much, much stronger than the conversion in physical, which creates a time delay. If you understand this, then you can use this knowledge in transmutation. You see you're in Colosseum, you see you are in whatever, and you see your body in another position. Just reverse the process to call in, to transfer energy of the soul of the physicality with you. The physicality will come, but you always have a trace back, as we saw in the ladder. You're always connected. The biggest problem is to transmute on this planet. The easiest problem is to transmute across the universe. The reason being is that in the physicality, you have to trust the physicality. In the energy, the connection you know is always connected to the point, which means you're always connected to DNA, to the atmospheric gravitational field of the Earth. Your soul trusts, but your physicality doesn't. That's why 99% of you cannot transmute. When you do part of it, you're still connected to physicality. You see yourself doing something, but you're aware my physicality is here, my body is here. I tell you a story that you might understand. I explained this before. Going through the life of the soul. I lived in desert for hundreds of years. One tree and one water well. Saw the man cross. So many men come and tap into the reserve of the water. Never saw me. They always saw an old man sitting by the well. He used to be called, if you go to the history of the man of the Bedouins, they call you the story of the water well of the old man. I watched many come and go over centuries. None ever understood where they are coming from, and none ever understood where they are going to. Even though I asked them, the only reference point they had was the city and a city destination. They never understood about the transmutation and their own soul. Where did the soul come from and where the soul is going to? I asked a question about the energy of the creation. They answered in the dimension of physicality of the man. Then it comes a point. You choose to move on. You choose to move to see when the time is right, is now I have to do, where we transfer the energy of the old man into the dimension of physicality of a young child to manifest in the dimension to complete what already another cycle of beginning has started that has to fulfill by the child. Then comes what child does in physicality is not what in essence does the man in the soul. If you understand this, you understand the process of transmutation and transportation and conversion. So for you knowledge seekers, that you're coming to this point is one thing is important. The point of the birth conversion from the energy to matter and the matter to energy. That cry of birth, that evolution of the time cross, that singing of the owl, all is the same thing. All refers to one condition, but with different stories that you might understand it at different level of the comprehension. In the systems of coming time, when you go through these tests on Fridays, once a month, we push you to that dimension. In a way, the next 3 sessions is the carrot to get you moving. The carrot is that on the level of energy, you can have everything you want. Why do you attach yourself to the dimension of physicality, which then it needs to kill to destroy? I give you the energy of the carrot, you create the image of the carrot in your brain, you receive the energy of the carrot, you don't need to destroy a carrot. So you want a steak, I create that energy which hits your brain, you get the image of the steak, you enjoy yourself with it, then you don't need to kill. But the biggest problem is in the future, which we have to resolve. We know the solution, but you will have to do it. This is the time of transition. Even this carrot business in next 3 months is a transition. But if you don't learn it, you cannot go through the transmutation complete. What does this mean? It means once you come to the transmutation, in the universe, the food has no taste. The food has no image. It's not a cow, it's not a carrot, it's not a steak, it's not a pie. For the time being, we have to push you along till you get the confidence that you can drive without holding to the handle, without needing a car, without needing to put a fuel in it, which is your physicality, and the fuel of physicality, which is killing to get, where universal energy, you receive what you need, because the next creature doesn't look like a cow, it doesn't taste like a carrot, it does not need to be consumed, but its energy is giver, and you are the possessor. You possess love, which means you give from the root of the essence of your creation, which means mehra, which means to give unconditionally with love of the creator. If you understand this, you can transmute. If you understand this, you can feed yourself. If you understand this, the process of the creation will become to you as clear as the daylight. When you transmute, leave the physicality, if you don't see first that light, it means you're still in the dimension of physicality. Man cries when he's born. Soul, when it transmutes due to conversion of the field energy in interaction with its environment, creates the light. I am the light. Because the light is me, is the essence of the creation, confirmation of my existence in the realm of the creator. I'm the only one who sees the light. Hence, I still have the confirmation of the physicality. You knowledge seekers need to step up to understand and bring that change. Live your beautiful life in physicality with your wife, your children, and everything else. And understand what is, what can, and how things can be. What does this mean? To you, does not necessarily means anything to anybody else. You are used to dreaming, and you're used to physical dimension. And in that process, none of you, in a way, due to condition of the structure of the brain, this light never, hardly you ever see. Because the brain has learned to deny it. So it doesn't exist. Because if you were in the physical dimension, and then you go into the position of the different field strength of the body of the man as an energy, when the, what we call the energy expands to cover the totality of operation in the visual dimension and even the sound dimension, our brain has learned to, in a way, when it sees this, clip it. Doesn't exist, because we do this even during the daytime. And when that clipping switch is not sequential and is not deleted, you call it deja vu. if operates in a direction and dimension of the energy, it becomes part of your life. And in a way, as I said, when you're crossing the road, is the field energy of the soul which pulls you back. It says, oh, somebody pulled me back. No, it's your own energy field which does not follow your physicality. How many times come to you that says something is holding me back? That guy behind you, that guy who doesn't allow you to cross or something holds you back, is your soul. And through the interaction of blocking this, what we call flashlight of conversion, you feed it at something else. You call it premonition. You have created so many words to justify our ignorance and not face the fact, the reality of the life, that the two sides, the energy side and the physical side, are the same. Next time you come to this point, try to cross it. Try to follow, be aware in dimension of physicality where the soul takes you. Not what you want to do. Then you'll see, you find gradually ways to transmute, because now you are doing the job of the soul. In a way, you're giving physical dimension to the action of the soul. Don't do crazy things, don't go and jump off a cliff, but understand that process. We have to take you through this process. We have to teach you this. Many of you come on the teaching, will understand, and through the energy we create within your field of universal dimension, you will connect to the body called physicality, and then you become the teachers of the others through the same dimension of field strength. It's like, we know we do not eat a fruit which is red in the jungle. It can kill. This become part of our second part. Transmuting, transferring, trusting the energy of the soul of the man has to become accepted, and accepted by the man, because it's not the second part. It's always been there. It's you who's been denying it. It's very much like, as I said many times before, 30, 40 years ago, when you used to walk on the street, people used to talk to themselves and make faces with themselves and raise their hands, and we used to call them the crazy. Now 80% of the population is crazy, because you got the headphones in your ear and you're talking on a mobile phone. Have you watched somebody when he talks on a mobile phone? The hand closes, the mouth goes, the shouting comes. So you already have accepted this new condition of what we call mental condition. You all become crazy. We have accepted, we have something in our ear, and it brings the information, and we convert it, and we show all physical dimension to it. We even run, and nowadays they bring you these glasses that you think is so real that you jump off the table and break your leg, where you think is on the reality of the image. In a way, mankind has been made ready for transmutation by the carrots of the mobile phone, by the stake of the new eye units and acceptance of the telephone in 1844. Gradually we are giving you that carrot to believe that you don't need to have anything in your hand. Soon there'll be a little pin in your ear, you don't need even to carry the phone, and then it goes with everything else. As telephones in 1980s used to be the size of a briefcase, now is a pinhead. Now we accepted it. Now we develop technologies which transfers energy in the energy of the universe, that man can switch between the energy and what we call physicality. In a way, as I said, the carrot and the stick is that dimension and the system, which we call it the universal matter energies, which we have put in the market for you, and many of you have bought it. They're going to be going out in the next few weeks. This is a part process of that system. In the teaching of next 2 or 3 months, we give you the carrots, as we said, it's the feeding, in introducing how to tap to the energy of the universe, and with these, what we call cosmic ray bottles, or what we call the balls, in your hand, we teach you the process of transmutation. If you had that disc with a hole in it, with that ball in the center of it, then you understand more about the world of creation. I use the carrot and the stick. You don't learn, we go back, we do more, we come back, we explain more. But the process of creation has to come through the fields. Understanding by emotion and not by touching with the physicality and emotion of what we call soul of physicality. With these new balls and the new technologies which we are putting into the system, we start the process of transmutation using universal links, detached from dimension of physicality. The ganses still hold you on to schizophrenic of the universal energy and the matter state. The, what we call cosmic dust, which comes in the ball, is to connect you with the dimension of the fields of the universe. There's a very interesting point when you get these balls. Watch how the material disappears. You think I lost most of it. And watch how it fills up again. You tap into, you take the energy, you use the reserve, you leave it, it will fill up, because its characteristics, it fills up with the fields of the universe, which is needed. And then you see, oh, it was half full, today is full. These balls, if you manage to get 2 of them and hold them in a position and place them in a position which will teach you as we come into it next year, will bring you to the dimension of the fields of the universe and the completion of the transmutation. You have to understand your 2 part of connections, physical dimension, which is the nitrogen and oxygen, your universal connection, which is the hydrogen and carbon. And they have to be in balance with each other. When you increase one energy goes. When you decrease one energy comes in. And this creates the condition of the physical side or transmutation side or the energy side. In the coming weeks and in coming months, slowly, step by step, I'll take you through this process. November session is beginning of that carrot. Then the universal balls after the new year is trying to connect you to tap into universal energies and understand how much you take, in a way The carrot, the steak, the meat, the milk is in that ball. How much you give to take and how much you convert to, in a way, bring together within your own physicality, or you let the physicality go to a new dimension. Understanding the world of creation according to the man is not just its rocks, animals, and the stars. Is understanding what man does not see as anything, which is another 95%, which is to you is all empty space, which is in fact is more energy there than actually in the planetary system, in the stars and the galaxies, in the matter state observation of the man. You have to understand the process of the light. You have to understand the process of the creation in the matter state and the creation in the energy state, what we call dimension of the world of the creation. And then you come to understand the process of both is the same, but a different strength. And you have a transition line which brings the four elements of the creation manifestation together. And then it brings in the emotion, and then it brings in the creation, then brings the soul, and then for itself, it brings you back to the world of the creator. You got to understand, as you have a physical dimension in the body of the man, in the matter state side, you have a dimension of the soul in the energy side, depending on carbon 14 and depending on carbon 60, which is the crystal structure manifestation of the strength of your soul. As you have a physical life, you have 6'2", blue eyes, God knows what, black skin and the rest of it. You have a dimension and size in the soul or universal energy side of your body. Because by existence of the hydrogen and carbon 14 in the dimension of motion of its fields, which is the creation of its own carbon 60, your soul has a dimension and a field and a strength and a color which identifies you as you. Now that you will not carry the dimension of physicality. You got to understand, if a man from planet Zeus sees your physical dimension, he will run, never seen somebody with 2 legs and 2 arms and 2 eyes. But it sees the beauty of your carbon 60 created by the strength of your soul, which sees the beauty of it. What it gives and how much little it takes. Then to me you're a danger in the strength of the field, or to me you're a friend, because I cannot give you too much, I destroy myself, or as a friend I can give you as much as you like because I have more, I gather more. So it comes to you as knowledge seekers, you are familiar with standing in front of the mirror to your physical dimensions. Now you have to find a mirror to see the beauty of the field, the strength of your soul. And there is nothing more than the mirror of the universe. Nothing more than interaction with another soul. To see your true strength. Am I always a taker because I'm still infant? Or am I given that I'm matured, that I can support? I made man in the image of myself. I have no physicality, but I feel and I live in the strength of the fields of the universe. This is a dilemma for you knowledge seekers to sort out. I give you the stick and the carrots of the fruits and vegetables in next 2 or 3 months that you learn that energy can come. Then I drop you in the deep end in after, what do you call, February, March, in universal field energy through the cosmic bundle ray packages, the balls which many of you have taken. That this is the carrot and the stick of the physicality, that's the carrot and the stick of universal energy. That how you transfer and how you transmute, how you create a dimension of the fields of your physicality, and what you see your soul size and dimension will be, will change your life in a dimension of physicality to strengthen, to increase, is what we call giving potential, or the love for the creator. Some of you, when you mature to a point, you will use the world of physical, trying to elevate the soul of physicality and then the soul of the man, which you will understand you can do that by taking energies of the universe in one dimension through the soul of man, soul of physicality of the man, through the physicality of the man to elevate the soul itself. Now you understand. When you become that star, when your dimensions created by the interaction of the fields of universal link of your body by hydrogen and the carbon-14, then you know your position in the universe. Then you know what you will create as children of the man in the dimension of the soul in the universe, where, how you will see the dream of the dream, that where my position will be, what I shall achieve, and what I achieve is not to my expectation. I have to give more. So I abide by the rules in the dimension of physicality to make a better, what I call bulb. If you remember, I explained about the tulips. Now, when this bulb sits in another position, creates the most beautiful flower of the creation of the Creator. Image of an image. Dream of a dream. But the reality in the dimension of the field of universe. In a way, go back to part of the teaching. I said, you care about your children, how they eat, how they get educated in the dimension of physicality. Now you become aware of the strength of field of your soul, and you're there. How do you replenish? How do you give it the strength that the children of your soul become creator of another cycle of life is in your hand in the dimension of physicality? How do you want those children to be? Children of man to kill, or children of the creator to give? And this is your dilemma. Many of you will face this, and many of you will take a dimension of transition and transportation to bring that dimension. I use my physicality to take the energy from the universe the purest way, that allows me to feed my soul, to become that perfect condition that in creating the children of my soul, I shall not commit no wrong. And I create the children which befits the Creator. Now you understand. I have laid out the path to the teaching of the future today, and how you will be there, and many of you will follow and be there to be completed. In this process, you understand how important it is to keep both sides pure and correct. that one does not take from the other, and one does not give to the other that is too much, becomes the stagnation and the demise of the other. In the process of coming times, you learn more about yourself and how close you've been to your soul, and how you deny that access, and how you can establish new lines of communication between the two sides, that you live perfect life. Maybe you can watch in the dimension of physicality through a sense of the conversion of information, how your soul, as you went to atom to see the atom, you see its position in the universe, what will create, and how beautiful the children of your soul as a star, as a galaxy will become. You don't need to dream, I have a house and I have children on this planet. You can see the reality of the dream of the field of the, what we call the soul of the man. And no one can interfere. There are no prophets, there are no gurus in this process. The teachers, we show you, we teach you the path. It's you who have to decide. A physicist, a criminal, a president, and which one at each level you stay correct to yourself. These are the title of the man. In the universe there is only one title, the creation and the creator. Understand the process. And in the coming time, I try to teach you, as I said, I connected you to the path where you come. Now I laid out the program of the future of the Keshe Foundation. How step by step we bring that elevation. It's not just you knowledge seekers who listen. Millions of people in the future will listen to the dimension of soul and elevation of it, to the teaching of today and in past times, and gradually walk away from the dimension of physical pain of the man. As I said, it's your responsibility. You know it and you cannot deny it. How you reach it is your problem. Keshe Foundation is not to sell a pillow, a candle, a soap and the rest. But this is how we can keep you to understand the transfer of energies, how energies are transferred to your soul, to your hand, to your eyes. Everything, knowingly or unknowingly, within the structure of the Keshe Foundation is set to elevate your soul and dimension of physicality. The pillow you buy from the foundation, you put on the head on it, elevates your soul, elevates your physical dimension, is filled up with ganses of that order. The light you see as candle is the light of the creator, because within it we have placed the materials of the creation, the field energy. Now you understand, step by step. We're taking you there, but you've been on this path for 4 billion years. To change it overnight is impossibilities. But gradually, step by step, we get you there. I hope you understood the purpose of the teaching of today, and I hope you understood more about your, what I call twin energy part. And I hope you use it the correct way to elevate the strength of the fields of your own creation and create. Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, as usual, we're back here, another session, and adding to the knowledge of man. It's interesting, the picture which is on the screen. It's what we call a flying carpet, and with a ship on board on top of it, which is very, very coincidental how these things is chosen by Rick and how it's connected to the teaching of today. In this picture, and to our culture of understanding, Persian flying carpet is to fly and take you everywhere. Today's teaching is, how do we make the Creator's carpet? That we can travel the span of the universe. How does it work? And how we can live in the deeper space. When you have, to our understanding, carpet or a flying machine, now we know which travels in the dimension of the gravitational magnetical positioning. It has to find its position in respect to the, what we call gravity of the earth. That's how you fly around like an airplane, but this one is a carpet. Each cell carries a system inside it that finds its position, and in a way, through your thoughts, you control every cell of the carpet, which is that carpet is your own body, your own soul, not the physical carpet. But when you look at this, what we call flying carpet, is in respect to the planet, its center of gravity. You position yourself in how this thing is. Years ago, when I used to be in business, part of one of my companies was involved in literally carpet business. We used to export hundreds of thousands every year across the world through Belgium. This is how my connection started with this country, exporting of rugs and carpets. And being Iranian, it was always a joke that I'm selling flying carpets. In those days, it was the beginning of the what we call LED lights to be put in the carpets, and you could have lights. We used to make it like as you're flying it, and it was very nice things to see in those days. And I always thought there should be a way to be able to achieve this. And later on, we have seen with the what we call reactors that we actually can now. As I said, in the next few weeks and months, as I said, we make Tesla obsolete. In cooperation with one of the leading nations, we start launching the systems which replace today's technological cars without batteries. And in that process, we will see that flying carpets, what you see, flying car, will control by the emotion of the man and the dimension of the souls and interaction. This is why I said in many teachings, in the coming time, accidents will be impossibility, because the soul of you drives the soul of the car, which in interaction is like that magnets on the table interacts with others, and no soul can come to it to be harmed. But this is the limitation of man on earth. What do we do when we use the other side of our, what we call, technological advances? What do we do when, now that we understand the process of the creation of the man, we, at the moment, we go on a very system, very simple, where we go with, prepare to choose a thicker one. It's easier. When we have Mr. Cohen, when we come to understand this part of the equation, which is the nitrogen and oxygen, is to do with matter state dimension of positioning. And this side of the equation, which is part of our amino acid, which is the hydrogen and the carbon, is to do with our soul, with our dimension in the universal condition. How do we fly in the carpet of the Creator? How does it work? Where does it take us? What's the limitation of our own understanding? Where do we go in this process? In the physical dimension, we travel with the cars, we fly. In the soul dimension, the energy, we position ourselves, we connect to that. How this positioning is created? How do we create condition of position in the space? Where does our flying carpet, can it work the way it does on Earth supposedly? We take our jets, we take our jumbo jets, we take our rockets. Once we get to atmosphere, once we get beyond the atmosphere of this planet, rocket technologies are useless. I'm in teaching, please. Then it comes to this point, how do we connect ourselves to the position that we can position ourselves beyond the atmosphere of this planet? What do we do in galaxies? How do we position ourselves in the universe? Where does this and how does this magic carpet comes about? To fly, to be able to position. In a way, how does our soul, during the time of we call the sleep, our dream, navigate itself on the carpet of the universe? Do we really live in the world of the physical dimension, or do we travel on the dimension of the energies of the universe? This brings a new understanding. We have to understand the field's positioning of the universe. We have to do this because in a very near time in the human race history, we have and we become part of the space development. What we see with the rocket technology, with Tesla and the rest, in next 12 months, 18 months will become obsolete. You will understand why in a coming time. Because efforts of the nation has moved to and will move towards the change of the what we call the positioning. How do we do? The rockets have no use. We shake our head and we dance, and we saw one of the world leaders in a, what we call it, victory talk yesterday, that he talks how he stood and watched this thing comes at the light and doesn't lose paints, and how Tesla system sat and landed and blah blah. This is obsolete already in the world of science, and makes one of the world leaders to be excited to see such a thing. It shows the dimension of knowledge has not been transferred. But how do we go in the dimension of the space? On Earth, we become very good. We send a rocket and it gets a man excited to see how he can land on his leg. We travel the space of the universe. I'm sure nobody celebrates it every time to get excited. But how does it work? On Earth, we found the jets and everything else. How do we work in the universe? Nuclear reactors are not the answer into the dimension of the space technology. There is no nuclear uranium, plutonium in the center of no planetary, no star system in the universe unless uniquely was decided and a field of strength created to be, and still in that position, the field of the material will dominate and dictate how the gravity and how the strength of the fields will sustain that life in that position. So it comes to for us to understand, how do we navigate? How do we sail on this carpet of the Creator across the created life of His, what we call the unicos? We cannot use nuclear reactors, which now is on the edge of our lives, which we think is very advanced, and we fuel them and we push them a little bit. Even on the moon, we are what we call schizophrenic craft, which we still fly all the way there, and when it comes to landing a craft, we push a little button, this jet blows this way and that way to land. We still rely on that schizophrenic life. We haven't learned how to perfectly adjust to land in a position, Magra positioning, in the world of the present science. So how do we change? Do we use Magra positioning for a matter state, and then in the depth of the universe we use the energy system to change one carpet to another, to fly in one system and another? Or we learn the totality of the knowledge, and from the beginning to the end we travel under one system? The problem, we cannot fly in the universe, in the cosmos, and we have this limitation of the man-matter state, is because our knowledge is lacking the fundamental understanding of the creation. We have not understood the world of creation. So we are busy like a child playing that Play-Doh on the table and making rockets, and we think we are very advanced with it. For man to become a passenger of the universe, has to understand the work of the energies of the universe. How energy is transferred, how energies create condition. Always said, which is so natural to us, we never understood, and we, all of us do, from the minute we are born, we are conceived in the womb of the mother, the minute we get up, we stand, we walk. Ask yourself a simple question. We use a rocket, we use a plane to get a material, we burn fuel, we use propeller, jets, whatever, from off the ground, and then into air, and then land it, and makes a president very happy. But ask yourself a simple question. I asked this question from myself, age of 8 and 9. And it took me nearly 30 years to understand it, and took me another 10 years to complete the understanding, the comprehension. If you understand what I'm about to say, and if you understand this, you have found the secret to travel the span of the universe. And if you don't understand it, it's just another sound. Because, as I told you, you take from this technology according to your intelligence. No more. You walk. You take that foot off the ground. You go 10 centimeter, 20 centimeter. Some of us become high jumpers. We can fly 5 meters up. We can do whatever. What is the rocket space technology to it? Do we have any rocket propulsion under our feet to blow it up, to bring it in the air and put it down again? Or, as we do it in the science of physics, we call it the muscles contract and the rest of it. But how do the muscle contract? How do they know how much energy to what height? If you're running, if you're jumping, it's become so much part of us that we have forgotten about us, about our motion. That lifting of the first foot off the ground to bring it up to the next step is a positioning of the fields of the universe. But we have become so good at it. Our brain, our structure, our physical body has used it so, we see it so that we never think about it. You cannot, by law of physics, do anything unless you have energy, unless you have a position to be positioned in respect to. If you understand this, we don't use any rocket propulsion, we don't use anything propeller or whatever, but we find the positioning of our foot. You're going up a ladder, whatever, in respect to, and we create that much energy, become so much part of us that we ignore the most important things of the traveling in the span of the universe, which is inside us. It's done by energy. It's done by understanding the complete cycle of the life. And if you understand this, you don't need to have another system when it comes to life. It does not need to have a separate system when you're flying on this planet with rocket propulsion, and when you go out using a nuclear, which is useless, and then finding another way to travel the space, and we come to this ridiculous position of the 10,000 light years. We are 100,000 light years away from another galaxy. We are as far in distance from another galaxy as we are from one step to another. A man has to understand this. The amount of time it takes you in the physical dimension using energy fields of your body in coordination with all the parts. The liver has to move, the kidney has to move, the left leg, the arms, the head, all have to be synchronized to move to the next step. It should take you the same time, the same amount to travel the span of the universe to another galaxy. No more, no less. If you understand the process of creation, if you understand the process of the transmutation, if you understand the process of work of the fields of the universe. I was talking to one of the leading scientists in the past few days and trying to explain to him for the first time I could hear, he could understand for the first time as a scientist what I was talking about. We're talking about the energy as a nuclear, as an atom. We're talking about energy as the energy of the atom. How electrons and protons position in respect to each other, how neutrons are positioning in respect to another neutron, how an atom positions itself to the next atom and decides to make a matter, a gas, or whatever. We are talking about that energy, the inner inherent energy of an atom, of any plasma. And then in the physical dimension, we talk about positioning of the whole atom magnetic field in respect to another matter. If we start learning, we start understanding the energy of the man in its essence, where did that energy come that it propelled you to take a step? Which amount of energy used? How did it come? How did your brain create a field for the whole body in an energy level to be ready for it to literally detach itself from the ground into the air and land it again? You're doing better than Elon Musk, if you understand it. You have never thought about it because it's become such a part of our life that we don't think. There is an inner inherent energy within the cell of the body of the man which creates continuous gravitational positioning. You roll in the bed, you take your leg off, you turn in the bed. This is done so naturally for us, which, ask yourself 1 second, where does that energy come? How does it decide where my leg is going to be, my head is going to be? How is decide I can jump? How energy adjusted to it, and why I can jump only 1 meter, the other guy can jump 2 meters? Because I don't carry that. I have not enhanced the inner strength of the energy of the cell, which creates the heat of my body and the rest of it. And the world of science has pushed us in such a wrong direction to understand this. That is, God knows, it's Hercules' job to bring man to understand where the mistake came in. So, if you understand the inner energy of a cell, inner energy of an atom, inner energy of the plasma, which leads to creation of itself, then you don't need the rocket technology for physicality, and you don't need to go to sleep, to dream, to travel the span of the universe. It's all the same system. Does it take you 1,000 light years to take your foot to put it on the other one and then land it? The step of the walk of the universe is exactly the same as the step of the physicality of the man on his foot. Then one uses the physical condition interaction matter strength, and one uses universal of the same thing in the matter strength. On Earth, we use the magnetic field of the Earth to find ourselves, to position ourselves. If you're at a higher altitude, the air is thinner than the rest of it because we never understood the inherited inner field strength of the plasma of the life. Earth creates that in the center, and every cell adjusts itself according to that, according to its position. If you think in a very simple system, the center of Earth creates our gravity. And in the field of it, according to the strength of it, we decide where we're going to be. And in the position where we sit, in the position where we are, in the strength we have in accordance to the position of both, decides if you look Chinese, if you like Indian, and the rest. In a way, we cut through the fields of the planetary system. At the same time, we cut through what we call the inertial weight, and then it creates us. But there's a small misunderstanding about this with a man. Because the composite structure of the fields. You look at these lines in a different way and different manner. Now, let's look at it in a true manner. This line, this central position, is rotating. So the field comes out. It's this way. This is how the field of the Earth rotates. It's not a spiky straight. It's in dynamic. You have to understand the same thing happens in reverse. That's gravitational. This is magnetical. Now you understand. You have the creation field strength, and at any point, you decide in a way of how to, where to sit, to be. Then you have a second parameter in this game, which is the inertia. And that inertia is constant in the position of everything else, in the condition and the position of every element of this process, which makes it another dimension. Then you have another position, which is the inertia of the cell of the man, which sits at this point at different strength, at this point at different strength, while remembering that these fields of the Earth gravitational is continuous. In a way, when the fields are rotating, they create what we call interaction with the inertial matter state plus the dynamic field of the body of the man, which has its own inertia as a Gans state, which we never understood. So this leads to creation of new dimension and life as us. But in essence, they're all the fields of the Creator. They all are the fields of the existence and conformation and what we call dimension of life in this position. There is an extension to this. Out here, we have our star. Further out here, we have our galaxy. And further out here, we have the what we call the center of the universe. And all these create their own fields. And all this, in a way, if I go back on the extension, you will see, create, interacting with us at all time. And then you can see the game of the creation. At any point, us in feel the strength of the cell of our body sitting on this planet at this position have access to all the fields of the creation. Beyond this, if even you go beyond this point of reference, somewhere, I lost my picture, come back. Somewhere here, we have the fields of the unicos, which interacts with us. As long as it took you to take your step, taking your foot off the ground and put it back down, it takes the same on the field of strength of to be to the center of the universe, another galaxy, another position. This is why you dream instantaneously and you can go across the universe, go somewhere else, because you, in the energy level magnetic field, travel on one of these lines of the creation. Now we see things in the shape of that confirms to us in animal shape, because this is the limitation of the strength of the fields which we have allowed the cells of our brain to work with. If we increase the strength of field of the brain in a way to see the universal dimension energy, then we'll see reality of the animal in this position of universe, not in the shape of man, as I spoke last week. Then you understand, man to be able to become part of universal community, understanding the process of the traveling the span of the universe, has to understand the inherent magnetic fields of the universe within itself. Decide if he travels on the matter state, inertial gravitational point, or universal energy level magnetic field point. And then if you understood this, if you come to understand even part of this, then you come to understand one fundamental position. It's you who decides the strength of your soul. It's you who decides by your conduct, what you eat, what you take, what you give, the strength that this soul will find itself in position of the universe, unicos, or galaxy. This is where your soul will land, in this maze of the work. Then it's you who decides what my soul is going to do and what will be the outcome at that point and position. To be able to do this, we need to teach you about this inherent energy of the carbon and hydrogen, how it works. You went to the shop, you put an apple or a banana to take energy. You go to a fuel station, you put diesel or petrol or gas in your car to run that engine because it's structured that way. How do you fuel your soul? How do you put it across to go in the path of man? You walk on the solid matter, on earth. When it comes to liquid, you find another way of traveling it. The same when you are in a car, you can go a certain way, you come to a cliff, you cannot go because that machine is not made to jump over the space air gap, needs a solid ground. You created a car and then add a wing to it and you made it a plane, and then you jump that cliff, you jump across. Or you put a leg into it and a bit into it and you swim across the water. Now you have to learn how to jump this barrier in the dimension of the field of physicality of the man and the fields of the universe. You come to the physicality, point of death. You have to jump that cliff till you land. Your soul immediately, because it's of the energy of the universe, takes the flight, but the physicality can't come. It's got to that cliff, it's a car. It cannot go. It's got to the ocean, it cannot go. It can only go on a solid ground. But you have added a wing to it, you get it to fly across. You switch it, the motor, you can swim across with the same car. Man has to learn how to switch at that point of cliff. That cliff is called the point of death. That cliff is called the point of transmutation. And this is what the teaching will go that way from now on. How to navigate the span of the universe. Now that you know you are in a schizophrenic life, the physicality of the man, which connects man to this matter state of the physicality, does not matter on earth, moon, or wherever, and dimension of the energies of the cell of the body of the man, which is originated in the dimension of the hydrogen, the essence of the creation. And this is where, from now on, we try to teach you to understand. It's like now, it's in olden days, if you remember my age, 40 years ago, if we went from London to Manchester, we were lost. We had to buy a map, go through pages of the map. Where is this street? I'm here. Find all the crackers and roads to get to where you are, and make 1,000 mistakes. Put the window down. Excuse me, where is that road? Where is that road? To get yourself there. In past 20, 30 years, we leaped into GPS. We don't do it. There is a system in the car. Turn left, and it's got a beautiful voice of an actor, a woman or a man, with a funny voice or a nice voice. Next light, turn right. Next road, turn left. You arrive at destination. This is what you have to do with the energy dimension of your life, what we call the soul of the man. And you have to learn how to bring it in to the dimension of physicality of the car, which is the body of the man. How do you navigate the span of the universe? How do you travel? It's like you're taking your foot off the ground and suddenly halfway going to land, you find out, oh, it's mud. I don't want to land in the mud. I push a little bit further and landed at the other side of the patch. You have to be able to do the same thing in the dimension of energy side of your life. And once you learn this, you start understanding you do not need the soul of the man in the dimension of physicality to transmute, to transfer. You use in conjunction in the control of the emotion of the soul and soul of physicality to move your body without walking. You get that, you literally get on that, what we call the Persian carpet. Because you get charge, you take charge over the energy side of your body than the physical side of your body. The emotion tells you, if I put my foot down, I end up in the mud. I don't want to get wet. I just got a brand new shoe. And that through that emotion, you extend it. Another 2 centimeters, or 5 centimeters, you jump across the pond. The same emotion sits with the soul of the man, with the energy side of the universal part of the man. You can use the two. Then you find the amount of time it took you to go from one step to another on this planet. It takes you the same amount of time to take one step from here to another part of the universe. How come you meet the mom who died 20 years ago, has a position somewhere in deep space as a soul of maybe a planet, maybe a beginning of a life somewhere, or as part of another life? And then the minute the husband says, darling, I want coffee, you're back. You do it faster than you put your foot down. How come mom is not sitting next door to you in your brain? Mom's soul past is gone, it's fine position somewhere in the universe. You travel that span of time. In no time to see mom, have a coffee with mom. I was walking on the street with mom. And then you bring the soul of the mom to the land which you know and she knows is the house we used to live in. And then she goes back and you come back instantly because the husband wants a coffee. You do it faster than changing your dimension of the step, jumping over the little pond of water. We know both, but we never been given a chance to understand the working is the same because the material is the same. We have painted different pictures on the canvas of the creation. One is in our head what we want to do, and one we actually paint on the canvas, which is our physicality. But the emotion of what we want to do is always there because it's us and it has to become one. This is what the teaching from now on going to be. We brought you from the ganses to the soul, to understanding your creation. Now we have to show you the roadmap of the creation, the roadmap of the universe. That you know, this is my car. It has the capacity of so much, and I've driven it so much, and this is how far it's going to go. And within that kilometer cannot go. That's my destination. This is what you do with your soul. How much you put in the tank is how much you can go. And because you know from where you are to the house is 200 kilometers, you tank it to get to the house at 200 kilometers. This is how you tank, how you strengthen your soul. So we all know where our soul will going to land subconsciously in our soul because we tanked it that way through the cycle of life. Then you understand transmutation and transportation is both the same. One uses the energy as a matter state, and one uses the same energy in the universal dimension energy of the plasma. The few milliseconds it takes you to take your foot off the ground, miss the pond and put your foot down, which you do it so automatically, it takes the same time for your soul to find its position and the point of destination. Most of us, before the time of death, know our destination. We know what we've done. We know what we have done. This is the day, they call it the day of judgment. We know we have judged by our work the position of our destination of our soul. And it takes the same time, the same amount of time as you took that step to jump across the little pond not to get wet, for you to correct yourself, to land your soul in a position in the universe. There is no difference. The hypocrisy of 100,000 light years is what was brought into our head by the most stupid scientists in the world, because the light is a limitation of the man understanding of his own physical creation, not the process of the creation of the universe. And if you understand this, you can plan the position of your soul at a point when it gets to the cliff, the end of line, where you have to jump. You call it death. But if you understand the process, you can create a system to jump over and cross the cliff and land again in the dimension of physicality. It's the same as brand new car as you were on the other side of the cliff. So you can remanifest yourself. Out of nowhere, you land and people see, oh, the new car, where did it come from? They're not aware that you have a system that can fly the ocean. You have to understand to fly the ocean of the universe, where your soul has the energy balance to create itself, to manifest itself, and that's its permanent position in life till the next cycle of the creation touches it. Have you created so much energy that you've gone further than out, than to the center? Or have you created the energy which through your conduct has brought you closer to the center? This is the punishment of the life. This is the position of it. It's like you stand in a queue, you're in a class, and you do something wrong, and the teacher says, go to the back of the class. You'll be naughty. So you're further from me to disturb me, you're further from me to enjoy my knowledge which I'm giving to the others and the love I give them. And if you're such a good and you've done good, the teacher says, come to the front door, you have to understand more. Come to the front door. This is come closer to the Creator, because you add to the knowledge of the others. And this is the process of the creation. Now from now on, in most of the teachings, we try to bring the knowledge of how you navigate in the span of the universe, even in the dimension of the soul and physicality and the soul of physicality. Then you understand why I tell you, in effect, next few months and couple of years, Tesla cars are obsolete, electric cars are the joke of the past. Because we teach you, we bring technologies that allows you to understand and to develop. And then you understand it's your choice to sit in the car or you fly with the energy. Then you understand why poor wife, because the husband wants a coffee, has to let go, and it's instantaneous. Yes, darling, I'll make you a coffee now. But second ago, I was across the other side of the earth enjoying a coffee with my mom, where I was interrupted and brought back. I had to jump back. It's the same as that step going from the ground, jumping to the next step. Both of them use no rocket propulsion, but both use the same understanding of the field energy within the internal structure of the plasma of the life. Then you understand how the cycle of life is. Then you have to understand how you can use the same energy. This is why some of you have this problem that when you join us on Fridays, you go in, but you cannot take the physicality because you haven't learned something. It's the same energy. Find out how you lock to go as one, not let the soul go and leave the physicality behind. Understanding of the uniqueness of the same structure is the beauty of life. Once you understand, comprehend the beauty of the creation. In a way, as I always used to say to children, man is like a puppet in a puppet show. He makes image of himself in the box for man to see, but holds the string on the top himself, how he wants to show how he feels in emotion of the brain of the man, in emotion of the soul of the man in that puppet. Both is the same energy. The same energy moves that puppet as thinks the puppet. And the only connection is that string. And that string is the field of the universe connecting us to the creator of the thoughts, the creator of energy, to the puppet at the band at the bottom, which is just moves because what? The creation of the energy of the emotion of the puppeterian has decided to do. It's time to bring the puppet and the puppeterian together and work as one. Then you become the true actor of the stage of your life. As the emotion and the physicality is together. The way a ballerina dances on the stage. Man dances with the emotion of inside, with the physicality of outside on the stage of the universe. Elegance and emotion with the thought that both is the same. And if you understand this, If you comprehend how the two is one, man would not live the life of a schizophrenic. Man would live a life as one, but understanding the conformation of existence of two. This is why I always called what you call schizophrenic the beautiful people, because that is us. We are beautiful. We are not schizophrenic, because we have never realized we have a dimension of the soul and we have a dimension of physicality both in one. If you go back to my teachings and my conferences, I always spoke about the physicality of the man being a leech on the soul of the man. Because man never understood that inside that leech, that soul decides how the leech moves. So in a way, the soul decides that condition of the physicality manifesting itself. And if you understand this, by changing the strength of the soul, you change the color of your eye, you change the color of the skin, you change your behavior, you change the amount of fields you receive and you give. Then it comes to, does the race, color, and religion matters, as is all one? And then when you mature to that point, you become the passenger of the universe. Then you have to learn how to change the field energy that dictates to you where in the universe you shall go. In the coming time teachings, I'll show you how the mesh of the universe is traveled. The way you have the roads on the physical planetary system of Earth, there is the same structure in the universe. You have to understand how to navigate these roads, how to navigate these meshes, how to understand a three-dimensional structure of the creation and the created. Then I have taken you in a trip of the lifetime of the universe. Today's teaching was to open your eyes to see how you are connected and what is within you to understand. In the coming weeks, I open the map of the universe for you. Then you'll be on that Persian carpet, which becomes the carpet of the Creator. You can go anywhere. As long as you travel on the energy fields of your physicality and the soul, and not on the dimension of physicality of your soul, which is you, that puppet. If you understand this, and then you go back to understand the very first things we taught you about the Ganses. Field positioning. Read book number 3 if you have it before the next few sessions, because in one of the pictures where I show the gases, I put one word. Ganses never mix. Energy fields of different strength can never mix unless they receive the energy or give energy to match up. This is why you put a jar of gas behind a window. Today is orange, next week is black, the week after it's become green. It gives energy and takes energy from its environment. Do a test if you want to understand how your soul travels and how you're connected in your own homes. Make GANs, anything, copper, because you see the green. Divide it in 2 halves, equal jars, equal amount. Shake it well, that there is no, what we call different density. Put one in the bathroom by the window. Put one in the kitchen by window. If you got another third one, put it in the bedroom by your bed, and put one somewhere that it sees no light. Weekly take a picture and observe the color. You find out what happened with the color to the emotion of you in your bedroom. You go to toilet and you find out what was the emotion of the man when he's on his own. You go in the kitchen, you see what energy you absorb from the universe, and you go where you hid it to see what actually sits in the structure of the physicality of the house. And if you understand the definition and the color spectrum, you can see how your household stays. Watch the height of the GANs in the jar. Watch which sides it pulls up to. Watch how different colors are in it. And then you understand the color spectrum of the soul, the strength of the fields, and not the physicality. As I said once to a friend of mine when I was doing a test in Beijing, making paints for the Chinese army, that they don't depress in high altitude to Tibet when they go into their camps, because they have a lot of psychological problems, soldiers lie high. If I could make a paint that every time a soldier comes in, takes rum, changes his emotion, and makes him man of peace, I have done the job. In a way, the gas color in the room will elevate the soul of the soldier to peaceful soldier. We did this, and now it's used by the Chinese army. It's Keshe Foundation technology in the hand of the military in China. It even changes the environment of the room. When we developed this paint, when we developed it, and number of different combination was given to the military, one night, the man who was appointed on behalf of to develop this technology of Keshe Foundation invited the Chinese military for a dinner. No one knew. If you've been with the Chinese military, they're chain smokers. Security people don't only know how to smoke. About 20 of us in the room. Wang Ling was sitting with me. The gentleman stood after an hour or so sitting in the room having dinner. He said, "Gentlemen, you see the room? All of you smoking. There is no smoke. The room is clear." The room was painted in a specific way, with a specific materials, that even smoke was there, it devoids of conformation of its physicality to show. It's the same with a man. You create a field which in strength voids the showing of your own physicality, even you exist in that. With temperature, we change the steam and the moisture. With the fields, we change the manifestation. Then you understand how you can jump across the universe, which your energy level does, but your physicality is not in form of it, the same as you take that step across the pond. It's you who decide, I put my foot in the pond and puddle, or I hesitate, give it more energy and cross it and put my foot across the pond. Then you understand. The destiny of the man in the space, in the universe, is in the hand of the man himself. It's you who judges. It's you who decides. And we give you the condition, like on Fridays, to let you do it with the confidence you can come back home. It's you that from now on has to say, I go when the physicality comes with me, the energy of manifestation of the vision or observation moves as the same strength in me. In a way, I dilute my physicality energy within the soul of the man, that the physicality has no manifestation. If you understood the last sentence, you have found the key to the universal transportation and transmutation. Your problem is when you get there, you think where physicality is. You have to increase the soul of yourself into such extent that encompasses and dilutes your physicality within it. That's the key to the transmutation. Not just I went there and I knew I'm back somewhere in the house. This is the process of the creation. This is what the teachings will go for the next few months and weeks. And then in that process you learn more about how you travel the span of the universe. You find out about the mazes of the creation. And one thing never forget, in all the teachings to come, that this picture is your model. If you understood it. Have you increased the field of strength of giving that has increased in a way the dimension of the gravitational point of view that becomes so humble and minute in a strength that can be absorbed, can be attached to the soul of the creator. This is the secret of the elevation of the man in all dimensions of existence in the universe. There is a balance. It's the same as the dimension of the physical energy. Potential difference. According to what you give, what you take, to what position. In the dimension of the energy of the universe, the more you give from the gravitational side to expand, to give more, the less you have. And that weakness in the dimension of the gravitational field of the soul of the man attracts you to the higher energy, which is the soul of the creator. This is why we teach detachment. Because you have to understand what it means. Balance of the energy between the gravitational and magnetical always has to be conserved. So when you give on one direction, you're low on the other. And at that point of low, you're open to the fields of the creator as is stronger than you. Detachment. I made man in the image of myself, but I never taught man how to be me, to be detached. That it becomes me to be attached to the totality. I hope from today's teaching, you will start learning how to travel the span of the universe, how to navigate, and how for the man who wants to be in the dimension of physicality knows and does not need no nuclear reactor and does not need no propulsion. Man has to learn to travel the span of the universe with the dimension fields of the strength of the universe, of the time, place and position, and detachment. I hope I open your eyes to the new cycle of teaching today. And then, in this process, we try to teach you how to travel the span of the universe, how to go from London to New York, take your children with you, and carry the suitcase that everything is in it when you arrive, because even the sole of your shoe has to agree to come to travel with you, because you take the summer shoe, but the sole knows it's winter, you need the boots, I'm not coming. We go for a break, and we come back and try to answer you. But listen to the teaching of today as we open a new phase of understanding, because we set the ground for it in the past few weeks with making you to understand the two dimensions of your life. The energy side connected to the universal energy, which is your carbon and hydrogen of your amino acid, and your physical life, which for the past 10 years we thought with the nitrogen and oxygen, which is a gravitational field for the gaseous state of this planet. As Muhammad said, bless his name. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We go with the name of the Creator, with all its beauty. It's you who have to understand the beauty within you, that you can become as beautiful as Him. No other standard, no day of judgment. It's you who judges, but you have to be clear in what you judge. Then you find your position in the realm of creation. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers program from Keshe and the Chance Space Institute. We welcome you back, and as usual, we try to go directly into teaching. But something very interesting which just happened, and it's amazing how I had no knowledge of the intro, which was chosen by Rick, and he just told me that this is done by Lisa some time ago, and it's the first time you're broadcasting it. And it's interesting how he always chooses the topics which is somewhere, most of the time, in the background of the teaching or what is going on. This intro is very important in a way what spoke about 5+1 negotiations in Vienna. As I know many of you are aware, the head of IAEA, Dr. Grossi, arrived in Tehran last night to reignite the 5+1 prior to Trump taking office, even though, as you know, they get elected and they start working in the background till they take office in January by the American new president. But what is interesting, after a week of declaration of the new president elected in the US, Mr. Grossi has decided to meet in Iran, even though there is a very large conference going in Vienna by the IAEA, some 300 participants of nuclear technologies and the rest in this conference. He left the conference to be in Iran. And as many of you are aware, Iran did some work a couple of months ago. And as you're again aware, in next few hours, maybe a few days, Iran will run a second test, which is deep underground. And usually it's pattern of the government. Iran, what they did in a very intelligent way, the first test was a small amount to see if the ignition system of nuclear warheads work, which they were happy with. And now we see the second test with a larger payload to be able to proceed with what they have to do in the nuclear side. And as I said as advice to the Iranian leadership in the past days, we are abandoning 5+1. I'm sure Americans and others are listening on the line, and they know we usually speak direct. As I suggested to the Iranian leadership, 5+1, when we set it up with Obama exactly 12 years ago, we met on the 15th of November with American ambassadors and the whole entourage in Brussels. We set up the 5+1 to negotiate to find a way. We succeeded in ways, and on the other hand, as now Iran has become a nuclear power with some 30+ warheads, the 5+1 is obsolete, and we walk away from it. Because it was to negotiate that Iran does not become nuclear. Now Iran is nuclear nation. But the pursuing this 5+1 negotiation is useless, because We are there, and Iran is part of the nuclear club. And whatever comes, we shall see. But as we abandon 5+1, as of today, I'm sure Grossi will be told in Iran that Iran decision 5+1 does not stand anymore. We negotiate as a nuclear nation, and what we call the game has changed. But I'm sure in the coming weeks, as knowledge seekers, you'll find out that nuclear industry of Iran pursuing for nuclear preparation and the rest has been part of the Iran space technology. Iran space program, as I laid out in 2008, is nuclear based. We are totally nuclear, but in a different direction, and many facilities of Iran is used in that direction. As we saw, Netanyahu in 2015 showed the Iranian plasma nuclear space reactor of the Keshe Foundation, and even a cross-section from inside it, as Iran nuclear preparation for nuclear bomb. And we negotiate on the basis of the Iran new space technology with the West. And you will see the change in the course. I'm sure that the Iranian negotiator, in a very soft way, will explain to Mr. or Dr. Grossi in Tehran today, as he arrived last night, that we're not talking about any prevention to become. We are nuclear, but our nuclear is on a peaceful application for space technology and space defense. How they take it, how they develop it, is part of the knowledge gain and political environment. It's the first time ever Dr. Grossi has announced that he's coming to Iran to negotiate with the Iranian government and Iranian nuclear physicists, because they know they have lost the position to negotiate on a nuclear basis, but they want to know how much they achieved, how many warheads. You will find out it stands equal and know what we call the spring beans to give more information than they expect. But on the other hand, you will hear in the coming weeks and months to come that Iran nuclear development is for peaceful application of a space development. And we will find out that in that process, Keshe Foundation and the knowledges of Keshe Foundation will play a huge part in this process. Be it developing the technology in different applications, be it developing the information and technology in different directions. Many of you have seen the Keshe Foundation and you tell us, why don't you do this? If you have this, why don't you do that? Like any other organization, if you look at the structures like NASA, European Space Agency is partially in there, but if you look at the Chinese and Russians and NASA, they are not just somebody to push someone and few people into space, as we see in the space lab. They carry out continuously different experiments to find more and to prove part of the technologies they develop is workable. Keshe Foundation and its space program is no different. You saw us doing agriculture in China. You've seen us setting a factory up in Ghana, which everybody thought it was a failure, but it was one of the biggest successes we had in research and development in a short time we were in Ghana. Sometime in the future, I'll explain why and how. Then you've seen many of you doing different tests. We opened a wellness center in collaboration with Germany. These all were to test different application, different criteria, effectiveness, and learning to do in space the correct way. We are no different. We are literally no different than NASA. They come, they do finding, trying to discover something that stops the material getting damaged in space or whatever. They do all the research, and then when they discover it, they sell it to you as Teflon. That's where Teflon came. Many of your materials and systems and other things you use is part of proof of technology which is used in space. The government do this with the finances behind their back and hide a lot of it. And when and if becomes successful, we hear about it. In Keshe Foundation, we are the same. You knowledge seekers, Keshe Foundation, and different operation, we test to prove, yes, we can produce material. Yes, we can create what we call non-satellite communication from Mars or Moon to Earth and the rest. Yes, we can create water from magnetic field. Yes, we can create lift and motion and weight reduction. To you as knowledge seekers has been, Mr. Keshe, wasting time. But no, Keshe Foundation and Mr. Keshe work on a target. We say we can transfer information. What do? We don't need no satellite. NASA spends billions, finds different organization testing. Mr. Keshe goes to knowledge seekers. You pay us to be in sessions for us to develop the technology of communication. No satellite communication. This is what you've been doing on Fridays every month with us. When you sit, but we are so advanced that we don't lose the verbal communication that is instantaneous. We use your soul, the information from your inner being, which affects our system. We see it. We communicate through your inner energy. We are even more advanced than they are. And now we say, cosmic bundles. You buy cosmic bundles. Oh, I have a thing, I can do communication. Yes, you buy it. We see how your system performs in different tests. When you use it for communication, when you use it for obesos, different ways of it. So all the things you've done with us in the past 20 years is part of what black budgets cover. And when it's successful, you might hear. And if it's a failure, you might, if they decide you here. Keshe Foundation, our failure, our success in a space, in development, agriculture, that man needs food and energy and space is on the table. So you will hear from Iranian government in a coming time very soon that we abandon 5+1 because we are already a nuclear nation, but nuclear for space development. Even though we have access to nuclear for annihilating anything on this planet. 13 nuclear warheads is a massive amount of power. But Iran is not in the game of playing that game. Iran is in the game of developing new technologies. In the coming days and weeks, we start negotiating with IAEA and the American government directly. Technology in exchange for peace. We will show people like Moss that Tesla cars are obsolete. There is no need for battery cars. European nations cannot afford it because it's too expensive. We will show the X-rocket program is over because we will show Iran will commit himself before end of this decade to land on Mars and Moon and the rest in matter of minutes and hours than days, which is done now. NASA is working to get to Moon on 2030, headed by one of the Keshe Foundation close collaborators and friends in NASA. Takes 7 months to go to Mars and then find the right track to come back 7 months. We estimated about 22 months needed for round trip. But the Iranian space program, nuclear-based plasma technology, returned to Mars within a day, even shorter. We bring this technology to show everything that Moss has done is obsolete. He is a billionaire in matter state. Once we introduce the plasma state, he is zillionaire. Tesla cars were not worth anything. Project X was not worth anything. The satellites he's put around the Earth worth nothing. So we see one of the millionaires, billionaires, the fourth richest man on this planet in material state will worth nothing. Unless Keshe Foundation backs it, unless collaboration is with Keshe Foundation and Tesla. And the rest of it. We'll negotiate with the American government, new administration, on the basis of advanced technology, not on the basis of nuclear. Nuclear for us is obsolete. And this is all because partly and primarily because of you knowledge seekers. You tested for us. You did things for us. You educated people. We hear later on today how Brazilian conference in Brazil last weekend put the technology across the nation. We hear from different ministers who are ambassadors, who are knowledge seekers, but they understand the ethos and they work inside. So, in a way, as exactly 12 years ago, tomorrow, I put my hand across the table to the American officials by the request and the meeting in Brussels, Technology and Exchange for Peace, which became the beginning of 5+1. Today, exactly 12 years later, we announced the end of 5+1. Because they did not listen the way we wanted it, but they gave Iran a chance to become a universal nuclear technology nation, not matter state, human nuclear state. And I thank the Iranian scientists, the knowledge seekers of Keshe Foundation who work inside the Iran Atomic Energy Authorities, the same as the knowledge seekers who work in the Russian Space Agency, the same as the knowledge seekers who work in NASA and the rest of it. We've seen the knowledge seekers, even in American defense, has submitted a patent on the what we call the star formation of the Keshe Foundation. And when they asked him, he said the guy who invented it, who discovered it, doesn't want to patent it. I do it. He's a knowledge seeker because if he didn't have the knowledge from the Keshe Foundation, he could not put a patent in. So you see, we are everywhere. We become everywhere because it goes on wisdom of 12 years ago. In 2012, we had the wisdom of sharing knowledge very conspicuously and very hidden with the world governments. We gave the keys to the embassy, to the ambassadors. When you give, even when you say hello to an ambassador, which is something with his nation, he has to report it. The key we gave to all the nations was transferred back to their nations. They opened it up. Chinese has spent trillions of yen in testing, inspecting, finding out which part of the knowledge which was on the key was useless to them and which one was useful to them. And this led us in 2017 to China and all the work we've done in China. Now we have infiltrated like a moth without them knowing what's happening above through the brain and knowledge of the knowledge seekers. It's important for us to know we carry on the teaching because we laid the road for next step. The teaching, especially since started last week and the teachings of past month or so, is directly to that way. When we cross into the boundaries of this solar system, we don't have anymore even the sunlight to rely on to charge our systems. Our nuclear powered systems are useless because they have a problem in creating faster speed. They cannot give us protection in the span of the universe. They cannot create universal transportation. And this is why we introduced the teachings, especially starting from last week when I said we go into a new dimension. If you want to play a game, you have to understand the rules of the game. If you want to be playing football, you cannot wear American football clothes with the helmets and everything else. It makes you useless when you play soccer. Even though they both chase the same ball with different shape. In space, we cannot use propulsion. We cannot use nuclear reactors the way they are today. We have to travel. We have to travel the span of the universe according the way the universe is created, not what man imagined in the matter state. We have to understand the work, the way it's there, and can be used to travel the span of universe. It's been to us, it's been with us, and it's the cause of our creation, but we never understood. As I said once to a close friend of mine in Tehran, the Keshe Foundation technology, it's like the oil in southern Iran and in Saudi Arabia in parts, where for thousands of years oil has bubbled up and it's been on the land. Nobody knew what to do with it till the man came, developed intellectually and technically to build something to convert this oil to something that it could run an engine. It was there for thousands of years. But when the intellect reached the position of the industrial level that man could create a system, call it the engine, could use it, refine it, and run a car, then we start understanding more and more about it since past 100, 150 years. It's been there for millions of years. Gas plasma technology. Understanding the condition of the fuels of the universe has been with us not since the oil time, but we are created out of it. Our own creation, our own body works, lives through it all the time. Now we have reached technologically to a level to understand it. And this is why there is so much opposition by those who still want to use the oil, because they're happy with their abuse of the planet, and they cannot do that with the universal energies. Now, with the thanks to understanding and wisdom of the Khamenei of Iran, Keshe Foundation will rise to a limit that mankind could not imagine. The knowledge of the Keshe Foundation under the flag of Iranian nation will become part of the work of the Iranian negotiation with America, with the Western Europe, and the rest of the nations. Advanced technology for obsolete technology. In the coming days and weeks, we'll see it on the table of negotiation on behalf of the Iranian nation as Keshe Foundation. Negotiating the new technology, showing to Mr. Tesla that people who use his name to build a car with it have come to the point where he brought to merge the old with new, and Keshe Foundation brings the new technology. Where we have to understand, okay, you're happy to go with a donkey, use Tesla cars electric charge. You want to go with the jumbo jets of today knowledge, you use gravitational system. It cost $9 billion to build one factory to produce electric car batteries to meet 15% of the demand of United Kingdom only. Then you see how man soon will run out of the option with electric cars. Then we have no alternative to look for new sources. Oil and engines of the structure using different type of oils has supported us over 100 years, 150 years. Electric cars will not support us for 15 years, when they're supposed to be as extensively as mechanical engines. The earth does not have the resources, financial resources, to produce 80 to 100 million cars, which primarily works on electric cars. And at the same time, supply the cars which are produced years before and the cars come in the future. The car industry knows, the governments know, but they're hoping something will come and solve this problem. At the moment, we're making good money out of it. You got to realize there is no option but to come up with an alternative by latest 2030, 2035 to replace electric cars. We don't have enough ground to bury our nuclear waste, let alone find ground to, in a way, recycle and bury the cars which use electric batteries. A safer method, a safer technology, cheaper technology, accessible technology for every man on this planet has to become an alternative, where we use energies which is within structure of our planetary system and in our universe. We tapped into the oil fields. We tapped into trying to say we use the rays of the sun. With the new technology, we tap into the energies of the universe. We tap into energies which created us and is everlasting. It feeds us, but we don't accept because we don't understand. It's very easy to build a system in energy which works the same way as the body of the man. If you understood the very first teachings, go back from the beginning of the time when I start teaching. I always told you what you eat, what you consume as a human being is 20% of your what body consumes. The other 80% comes from the fields of the planetary system energy and the universe. Man making a system to travel the span of universe has to work on the same way. Earth was a small ball and it became the size it is today, and its surface is still expanding in dimension. Because it receives, even in the center core with all this water and the mass on top of it, energy from the universal system. Continuously fed. You call it magnetic fields, and we show it with lines in the North Pole and the South Pole. These lines are the feeding line to the system. They're not just fields. They're not just imaginary line. We eat food. We kill animals. We destroy vegetables to feed ourselves, to walk, to live, to keep the heart moving. When we are sick, lying on a bed in a hospital, we cannot eat anything. They connect one line to our body to feed us and one line to get our waste out, without any potatoes and bananas going in. That line feeding in is the same as the magnetic field which goes through the earth. The line which comes out is the same as we say in the North Pole line coming out. The energy of the universe is fed through these magnetic fields into the center of this planet continuously. Keep it going. Is not just with the fallacy of that in the center there is a hydrogen or nuclear process and a metal drum or whatever to create the magnetic fields. This is all made up stories for the man who did not have the intelligence of the past, of the creation. These line of magnetic fields we are used to seeing over the field comes in from the south and it goes through the north. is that pipe in the arm of the man feeding it. The body takes the energy from that line, what it needs, and then it gives out what it doesn't need on the other end, which we call it the North Pole. In fact, if you look at it, the mouth of this planet is on the south and its anus on the top. We call it the North Pole, where it comes out for certain direction of the fields, and vice versa the other way. And in that process, the fields just don't go just going. When you see magnetic field line, these are feeding line. These are the processes which the universe exists on. This is the line where the sun transfers its energy to the center core of the earth and all the planetary system. And scientists of the man have not understood this. Your heart, your body cannot function if it doesn't receive food on continuous basis. You die. It's the same with the planetary system, it's the same with Earth. If it doesn't receive food on continuous basis from its mother, the sun, through magnetic fields, it'll die. It'll collapse. It's not just there is one center core, it's what that field brings to center core, continuously feeding it. It's the same as the body of the man. They say you use 2,000 calories a day to be able to run. Earth takes billions, thousands of magnetic field, plasmatic field calories from the sun every day to run its center, to be able to rotate, to dissipate it as magnetic fields coming out to feed its children, which is the man, dog, the cat, and the rest. We call it gravity. We call it magnetical. When we have magnetical field going out, it's not just going out to cover the earth and the atmosphere. It feeds us. It's part of that 80%. It goes through us. It doesn't have a line to pass your body as you're running. Doesn't matter where you are, like the love of the Creator rains on you. In a way, man gets fed exactly through the earth, through his backside. Where is closest to the earth, and it comes out through his brain. And when man creates too much energy in the middle, and that energy coming out cannot handle the physical dimension, you have a brain stroke and you have a heart attack. We are getting fed exactly like man said. Micro and a micro, what you don't see in one, you don't understand. Look at the other one, you understand. You thought your backside is the way you get rid of everything. In fact, your backside is where everything comes in from the planet Earth as a magnetical field. You're running in the atmosphere of it. Why do you think you're special and nothing happens to you? Why do you think mankind is something very special? Earth receives fields from the earth, from the sun, and the rest of it to its southern pole as the rotation of the clockwise of the system and anti-clockwise of the system goes. And then, as it goes, energizes, it creates fields, and this magnetical and gravitational, how do they come? What are they? Is just something in the air? No, it's part of your life, it's your feeding system, it's part of the 80%. Most probably 60% of the 80% is what comes through your bottom up. Then, if you understand this, you follow the tracer when it went through your brain, where it's gone to. Where it's going to land me. Then you understand more about the truth of your own creation. This is why I explained yesterday, sorry, in the last week teaching, about when you take a step, there is no rocket to push it up. It's just the way the fields work. Now you understand how 80% of your food come to you. 60%, maybe more, comes from magnetic field, which creates the magnetical atmosphere of this planet. The balance comes from the universal energies from above, which goes through. Remember the magnetic fields on a magnet. The gap in between is not just the gap, is where fields come in. That's where we receive fields from universal energies. 60% comes from the earth within, which the earth has digested from the fields of the universe, which come through the sun and the rest through his bottom side. So next time when you sit on the ground, think how much energy I'm taking in. Then you understand why man likes to sit. Why man lies down to go to sleep. And how our position changes when we sleep and we dream. And next time when you wake up, lying on the floor, see which side of your body you slept, and then remember the dream, the travel of the span of your internal energy, your central core. And then you find out if your dream is connected to the earth, or is your dream connected to the universe? Did you connect to somebody else or you did not? Did you fall asleep upright, and how did it affect you? Man should understand the work of the universe, the realistic way it is, not what was imagined to be. In a way, the earth absorbs higher strength fields into its core on a continuous basis. We show it as magnetic field line, chews it up, transfers it, and like a mother which just chews the food and puts it in the mouth of his child because he does not have the digestion system, or through his umbilical cord feeds it till it grows, through his magnetic fields feeds the man. We have only looked at what is suited us, but we did not look what happens in reality. Then you understand the confirmation of the man existence. And this is the job of the Keshe Foundation, is coming up negotiation with the American government, with the Russians, with the Chinese, with the rest of humanity, to transfer this knowledge on equal basis, and Iran becomes the center of the technology and the new knowledge of the creator. I have committed the Keshe Foundation to the Iranian government, and will continue to do as is on the terms of every nation, even Israel, will receive the knowledge on one basis: technology in exchange for peace. On the 15th of November 2012, when I put my hand across the table with American officials, American ambassador, they had to make a call to Obama in the White House. He's not giving the key. He wants to shake hand that he starts talking about peace in exchange for technology. This time, in negotiation with the IAEA, we negotiate with the rest of the world. We do not accept United Nations. I'm a nuclear physicist. I speak to the people who understand my language. And in Vienna, we start this new series of negotiations. Not 5+1. The whole humanity, technology, in exchange for peace. Everything is accepted and agreed fundamentally with the Iranian government. And in the coming days, officially, we'll transfer technology across to the other nations through Iranian president and the office of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran. The whole process is to show technology in exchange for peace, where we have that oil reserve. We cannot take man to space if we do not have access to the energy, understanding it, and being able to tap into it. And the Keshe Foundation has access to that technology. We have created our own fuel. We have created a space fuel. We have created a fuel which runs the operation of the Creator, and not the oil fields of the Middle East and the gases in Alaska and the rest. You have to understand, to play a game, you have to be dressed for it. To run a marathon, you have to be trained for it and have the energy for it. And now we have that technology, we have that access, and we deliver it to be able to take man into space, not just in next 5 or 10 years to Mars and to Moon, but outside the solar system, using international, what we call universal magnetic field lines. All the fields going into the south pole of the earth does not come from the sun. Partially comes from its own feedback to control, partially comes from the sun, and of the different order comes from the galaxy, and a different order comes from the universe, and a different order comes from the Creator. Untuned and direct. And then the earth does the same. He chews it up and he puts it out in a more concentrated, what I call laser magnetic field of a given strength, which with interaction with the material which cocoons it, is the reactor, become digestible by the body of the man and the plants, and guarantees the survival. Then you understand, when we built the space reactors, they carry the same process. They absorb energy from the universe once we ignite it, like when we give the soul of the man to the body of the man in the womb of the mother, and then it feeds its passengers. When you look at a nuclear-based reactor, the one Mr. Netanyahu showed as the Iran nuclear proliferation, which is actually out of his stupidity, Iran most advanced space reactor. That reactor is not just there to fly you, it has to feed you. It has to be the provider of the medicine for your soul, for your emotion, and for your body. It has to be there to create energy that it gives you light to see. It has to be there to create energy, to create water for you, because your body is based on the water to survive. So if you look, when we build a space reactor, it's the same as the Earth in a miniature dimension. Receives energies from the universe, and then in chewing it, because it's made in the dimension of field strength of the man to feed every cell of the man. And in a space, as you don't have the physical body, to feed your soul. Your soul receives that and it does the same thing. It chews it up like a mother to make it digestible to physical dimension when you materially manifest yourself. There is no difference in the structure of the work of the universe. It's the same with the Creator. Creator gives the fields for the creation of universe, but on the feedback from the universe gains the totality of the knowledge with the universal entities within it have gathered, and then he feeds it and he feeds back on. This is what I said many times, when I teach to the universe, not to the man. Because the fields of the knowledge and emotion travels the strength field of the universe, and in process returns back to the Creator, and as the love of the Creator feeds the rest of the created. Now you understand the whole process, slowly, step by step. In our future negotiation in Vienna with the IAEA, we consider IAEA as a point of reference, which soon will become for us a point of negotiation than United Nations. And then in process, we transfer what we call the universal operation of the whole lot to Universal Council. Now you understand everything is set up for the dimension and the direction. Years ago, in a dinner given by the Chinese government, by the invitation of the Chinese foreign minister, we were invited to a dinner where world leaders, ambassadors were present. One of the gentlemen I met was the African member of the United Nations. I can show you his pictures. We have it in our archive. I said, I've never heard of African member of the United Nations. He said, I represent the African continent. I said to him, I already created this. We call it the Earth Council. And a member for the Earth Council for Africa. I explained to him the difference between the Earth member of the African nation is you. You are born in Africa and you concentrate on your prejudice toward African nations. The Earth Council member of the Keshe Foundation is one who has roots some other place, that when it defends for Africa, it defends not just for Africa, but equal with the others. He said, you're too clever. I said, no, I know the wisdom of the work of this man. You understand, we set the structures in advance for upcoming and what is already functionable in the structure. Now, the hardest game for us is to transfer the knowledge that what you know in the matter state is correct. But you have to understand the matter state comes from a bigger state, field, magnetic field energy, which is the universal work. And if you understand this, you understand one cannot exist without the other, and one exists because of the other. Then man learns two languages, two sciences, one in the matter state and one in the energy state, what we call the universal fields. This is that N and O in your amino acid, and the other one is H and C on the other side. And when you put them in orderly manner that it can function between each other, you get the amino acid and you get the man. Now mankind has to learn the next step of the process, that when it travels the span of the universe, you have the hydrogen and a carbon, which is the field strength of the earth, man created or earth created life, and then the I and C, sorry, H and C, the hydrogen and carbon, which works at the universal level. You still need to learn that part. The carbon in the structure of amino acid is 12. The carbon in the universal field is 14. You have to find the connection. The same, the hydrogen which man is created out of with this amino acid is connected to the oxygen level hydrogen. It's not the same as hydrogen in the universe, but they have a common denominator. You still need to learn this knowledge. In what you call man's world, you have transformers and you have adapters. You plug 120 where the system is 240 volts, and you plug a 240 volt system and it works 120. Man has to learn now that adapter between the universal energy, universal line of communication, universal connection dimension of travel, and the man atmospheric condition of the same. How do you plug into the universal energy carbon 14 and hydrogen of the universe and then you unplug and plug another way, you become part of the Earth, hydrogen and carbon 12. As I said to you, you have a lot to learn, and this teacher has a lot of time. If you listen to the past our teaching, you will learn so much you never knew, but in fact it's part of you. You decided. Your ancestors and your scientists decided to make you ignorant to it, because the fact doesn't change. Just because they hung the guy of the church because he said the earth is not center of the universe, did not work, did it? It actually brought for us, because they've done this, what is the truth? And we found out, yes, he's correct. The truth doesn't change. It is man understanding which has got to change for him to understand the truth. You got to understand, as I said last week, the new cycle of process has started to teach you, because now we knew the things are about to change. We have to be able to show the next step, otherwise we are stranded. We're still battling, and as I could see the excitement in the hand and shake of the most powerful man supposedly on earth trying to explain, I was standing there and I saw this rocket moving that way, and I said to him, is that your system can come? In a matter of next 6 months, 12 months, we laugh at this talk. They've given guarantees to the Iranian leadership that Iran, within the next 24 months, will land on the moon and Mars. We don't colonize, we take mankind with us to understand more. The technology is complete. And we do it with collaboration with other nations. The same way as I agreed with the Chinese. Chinese research centers has to be able to accept people from outside China. We do the same using macro in United States to bring technology in US, but under cover of every nation, nationality, and the rest. We do the same with Russia. We will do the same with India. We will do the same with Israel and Saudi Arabia. And we make one nation out of nations on the nation of the knowledge. You can draw as much borders as you like. When it comes to the science, they all work together. One of the most important things for us in the coming days and weeks, with the work with the Office of Iran and IEA, is to show that the nuclear technology of today is something we have to know, because with its knowledge we can open into the dimension of the what we call nuclear hydrogen, nuclear carbons, which man it does not even have the knowledge of. Without it, without the fields of radiation, without the operational understanding fields of the inner energy sanctums of the universe, man cannot travel the span of the universe. Man cannot feed itself. Man cannot exist. In so many ways, we are ready, after 12 years of creating 5+1 with Obama, to close 5+1 as of today with Trump. As I said to the Iranian leadership, we have nothing more to talk about 5+1 because it's dead and buried. Iran is a nuclear technology nation. We speak on the nuclear, but we speak on the nuclear for a space, not nuclear for destruction. And I ask those of you knowledge seekers who have gained in this knowledge, those of you who work in Russian Space Agency, those of you who work in NASA, those of you who work in different structure of the plasma physics, to introduce yourself to the management of the Keshe Foundation And we call you to join us in the development of the technology. I go directly to Mr. Head of the operation of the Mars mission, good friend, to abandon NASA and join Keshe Foundation as part of the space development. I called to the head of Russian Space Agency, who was a knowledge seeker, to join us. And the same goes to the Chinese space technology people, who I know some very well, close friends. The new space technology has to be collective knowledge of all of us to bring that change. And Vienna is a good place for it to start. But Iran will be the source of the technology and knowledge and expansion of and opening of the space. We have changed the oil and oil fields with space energy, plasma, and the energy of the universe and the creator. Man has to choose. We stay doldrums of dependency and war, or we go into the prosperity of knowledge and creation and opening of the universe. Man has time till 20th of January till we get a guy who's bent backwards to be rich in money of the man, or we make the whole nation of man rich with the knowledge of the creator. I thank especially the Iranian team and the group appointed by Ayatollah Khamenei to negotiate with us for their non-stop work and their due diligence to be able to bring this to flourish. I thank those who work relentlessly day and night in Iran to make this possible. And they know who they are. We thank them for their work, and especially our Iranian team, who day and night has worked in the past few weeks to make this possible. On the 15th of November 2012, I shook hands with America for technology in exchange for peace. On the 15th of November 2024, we shake hands with the whole of humanity. Technology in exchange for peace. We had to start somewhere. And we had to start with the most advanced nation on earth, which was the United States. Now we are all advanced to be one nation and one state. We go through a break, we come back, and we'll see where we go from today. And hopefully within the next few weeks and months, we see a change in the direction of the knowledge of the man, now that we work directly through nations and governments. And that is all thanks to you in doing the work as one nation, as Keshe Foundation. Today's teaching comes from the essence of where, in a way, direction of connection of the links of the soul of the man, the energy of the fields of the existence of the man comes from, and where he goes to. In the past 2 or 3 weeks teaching, Rick, would you like to change this screen, please?
Yes, will do.
It's not easy to teach while he's there. In the past 2 or 3 weeks, as I explained, we started a new path of teaching. We know how to fly across this planet. We have learned every trick of it. We saw in the past few days how man showed the most advanced technology in launching a rocket, carrying a satellite on board, and again, as usual, could not complete the task by literally landing the part they wanted to do. We saw how Musk tried to land the jet half back on the launch pad, and he still landed in the water. But the rocket took its course, delivering the Indian satellite, and somewhere the rest of the process. When I was watching the launch, it brought back a lot of understanding of what present teaching and technology in Keshe Foundation is, and what man in scientific dimension and edge of science would like to do. When I watched that the rocket went up and the part which was supposed to come back to the base and do a vertical attachment to the anchor did not function, and as usual Americans never call it a failure, but in fact failed because it landed in the ocean. It brought me back a very funny thing. We want to send your soul, you want to transmute, and what happened if you misfire, as I say, take a different field strength and do not land back on the dock where you fired from, and you land somewhere else? But your destination, point of destination, is already chosen. You'll be that satellite, you'll find your position in the orbit of where you should be, somewhere in the universe. But in the process of transmutation, you land not back in the physicality of the body, but somewhere else. What do you do? How do we connect? How do we bring it back to where it should be? Would we end up in another body? Would we end up in another dimension while we are still in part in another position? Would we misfire like Musk and still put a brave face that we succeeded? In fact, when I watched the launch, it was one of the biggest failures of the space technology, because we already know since 1960s how to launch a rocket and put satellites in orbit. Yuri Gagarin went up and came back. The advancement was to bring it back into its dock. And with the space technology of today, failure is there again and again. We've seen it many times. They've tried, succeeded once. Can we fail in a plasma space technology? Do we have a rocket in our brain which sends our soul across the universe and then cannot bring it back? In the Keshe Foundation, in the coming weeks, we will test something very special. As the process of the production and the evolution in science and technology brings us, where we create the first plasma targeting what we call beam. It's like a laser beam of a plasma in a given direction, where as I was talking about the knowledge seekers, we talk about the wormhole, but we create a condition of the plasma where, for example, we can aim it at moon and we transmute across this tunnel, this plasma tunnel, across and back, where we can directionalize more the transmutation because it's a field that's the strength of the dimension. It means we can land all of you in a given position on the moon through dimension of the soul. Building this system will be amazing when the time is completed. It will bring a new dimension in the world of plasma technology, where now we try to transfer a beam of light. Now we transfer the whole structure of the man within a plasma beam. We have all the technology. Our knowledge seekers have to evolve in the science of understanding, where, for example, when you target to go to Mars, you don't land anywhere else, but you don't need no rocket. You transmute through the energy channels of the plasma which is made of you. This system will not be bigger than a shoebox. It is not a dream, is the accumulation of the knowledge systems and technologies which we have developed coming down to this point. To understand the principle behind this science, behind this knowledge, we go back to the structure, to understanding, and in expansion of the science of the transmutation and transportation. In the dimension and in misleading information and teachings of the past science has brought us one of the most fundamental, what I call misguided knowledge about the world of creation. And because we have been misguided, we've been told the wrong thing, we have accepted this fallacy. Maybe I can put it this way. Light is a part of the structure of the magnetic field. And they tell us you cannot bend it. And there are many research done to see that when the light comes near, like a supernova and the rest, it bends slightly over. This is a fallacy of the science. This could be correct if there was no magnetic field in the environment of the being. But the universe is full of magnetic fields. And if you see this, you understood this technology of what we've been led to believe, then you should have known from the first teachings of the Keshe Foundation, we are contradicting the present knowledge. And I explain to you why. The universe is made of magnetic fields. And if you see my drawings for past decades and decades, I show the plasma in this shape. Because that's how it is. This is how The magnetic field of the Earth does not go directly out straight, but is in a spin. Because it spins, the system is dynamic. So one of the biggest things for mankind now to change in understanding of the process of the magnetic field, if light is made of magnetic field, it cannot bend, how come the universe works on the twist like this? Or the other question which I can put to the world of science is, which segment of this field you consider to be going on a straight line, and how long it has to be that it shows that the light travels on a straight line. Then the plasma physics contradicts the physics of today. Then all of things has to be reassessed by the world of science. Then we have to redefine, is the light or whatever travels on a straight line applicable only to the light in a matter state in a given condition? I explained to you where the controversy and the problem for the present world of science will come. It's very easy. And the easiest part is, if we believe and accept the principle of the light, for example, from a star to us, is a direct line, do we see only matter strength of the fields of that star to us on a straight line? What happened to the rest of it? On the plasma length spectrum, magnetic field strength. Then the question comes, do we, what we see as the light from a star, is the true straight line, or do we actually see as part of the magnetic field spectrum of the horizon, of the plasmatic field, magnetic field spectrum? Then this puts a big question mark in the whole science of physics which a man has made, and this is one of the problems. Man cannot travel the depth of the universe, and he has to rely on the jets. He has to rely on nuclear fuel, because still deals with the matter state. Do we, in our space technology to come, create two dimensions of the travel? In a matter state, straight line, or in a plasma state, in a different line? And even though it might be the longest, but it's the shortest in the time, because this will take you 100,000 light years. This takes you 1 millisecond. These are what now we have to consider. These why, in a way, showed even the most stupidest scientist in the world, a fake scientist, came out with energy equal to mc squared. Because he knew there are so many factors in between here, and he made them all assumptions. Because this guy does not exist in the world of the creation, is a man-made measure of his own vision of understanding and observation. Does not apply to the work of the universe. You have to realize Einstein was made to be a peer reviewer, and in that peer review, he was cheating and stealing from a lot of people. And in those things, he found out he has to make a lot of assumptions because what these patterns were coming in, showing him he was wrong in all his assumptions from the beginning. And this is where the world of science went wrong and has gone wrong, and he found a place to confirm his stupidity. If you understand what is here, and simply now you understand that C is cannot be because it have different magnetic field spectrum as a plasma, this equation does not exist. Cannot work in the present form, and the way has blocked the world of science to move on. As I said very recently, science of plasma has to be left with those who understand the world of creation, not those who are blocked in the science of man. If you understand what's on the screen, its implication, its application, then you understand for the soul of the man to travel the span of the universe should not take that long, because the soul of the man works in this parameter and not in this parameter. In a way, according to the desire, the emotion of the field of the man, we choose which spectrum of the field, the strength we travel with. And man has chosen the physical matter spectrum, which is the downfall of his understanding of the rest of the creation. In the coming weeks, I'll explain to you in a very clear way how you can travel to any destination in the universe, not on a straight line. The straight line in the world of creation of the plasma is the longest time. Because you have to fit it into the given spectrum field strength. And there is always one much higher, which that higher speed gives you the dimension of the field transfer through plasmatic magnetic field. This is how inertia is created. This is how gravity is created. And this is how men have not understood the totality of the science of the creation. If this wasn't so, we would have stuck to the creator and there would have been never ever a universe. And the fields of the creator does not emit on a straight line. Its diversity and rotation creates a dimension of the interaction of the fields with themselves and itself, as I have shown in the back page of the book number 3, that leads to the creation of the creator. Scientifically, we never understood the totality. And this is why we made all these assumptions. This is why we created so much problem in the world of science. By misinterpretation, by those who were misguided themselves, and we came to believe in them. Even me as a teacher, you have to question the teaching. And to what extent you understand it is the limitation of your comprehension of your own creation. A man who works without questioning is as good as a dead man. Challenges of knowledge, challenges of understanding the science of creation come from questioning the creation itself. Then, in finding the solution, you enlighten the soul of the man and you extend the knowledge of the creation. It's your responsibility to understand the true meaning, and it's not the responsibility of others to teach you, because then your limitation becomes their limitation. When you meditate, what do you meditate for? When you align the energy fields of the body of the man, is to elevate the soul of the man. That's the purpose of meditation. Meditation is science. Meditation is understanding the world of creation, not a free zone that I'm free and I feel nothing. Access to the world knowledge, to the universal knowledge, to understand the truth about the science of the creation. The minute you claim you understood all, is the minute is the point of demise. You got to understand how much we've been misguided by those who are those there to deliberately to misguide us. If you understand a simple term of what we saw in the world of science, which has become a norm, and we accepted this stupidity, and they tell us the light travels on a straight line, and we accepted it, then this gives you a very big question. The same as what I explained months ago, that 4.5 billion is not the age of the universe. The universe is billions of years more. And then we found out to say it could be 13 billion years within a few months after what we explained. And it's even bigger. But let me explain to you the age of the universe. If the theory of MC squared is correct, and understanding that they tell us that you cannot bend the light cannot bend, and they tell us light travels on a straight line. If the horizon of the man on earth is 17 kilometers, due to the curvature, what is the size of this universe if the curvature of the light tells us travels on a straight line across the universe, that we see the light of another star to be in that point? If you haven't understood the question, I'll put it to you this way. How much bigger this universe is if the light coming from the other point of universe travels on a straight line, which is a small part of the fraction of this curvature. If you want to understand the actual work of the universe in a very simple way, I'm sure all of you have seen a Catherine firework, where they burn and it creates a dynamic, rotating firework going on the spin in the center. What happened to you and what happened to the light is exactly what you see in that spin. Cannot be on a straight line. You see it only on a straight line according to the horizon of your observation, not the horizon of the universe. Simply, the curvature of the Earth is not 17 kilometers or 17 miles, depends how and who wants to explain what. Then you understand, for man to travel to another point from the point of transmutation, straight line doesn't exist. It depends on the strength of the soul of the man. It depends on the strength of the purity of the service the man has gathered within the structure of his life, in what strength field he will travel in. Has he created a position to come closer, or has he created the condition to go further? The holy books, this is heaven, and the other side is hell. Then you come to understand the dimension of the plasma fields of the universe is limitless, and it's only limited by the understanding, comprehension of the world of the creation of the man himself alone, and not by his educators. And if you understood that the world of the man moves in the dimension of the unicos as the universe man is used to, which is this spin, which part of it is in a bigger spin of the unicos. Where anyone, any soul, in any dimension, which even here could be the dimension of the soul of the man, can travel to the soul of the creator, and not the soul of the universe, which man thought is created out of. We have a beautiful saying in Farsi. It says, my servant had a servant, and the servant had a servant, and the servant of the servant had a servant. And we are one of those last servants. And maybe there is more life after us, which become the servant to serve us, to be servant of the servant. These, you have to understand, to open your eyes, that in a coming up teaching, understand how you travel in a straight line to the soul of the creator, and in a dimension of the soul of the plasma of the man, you travel in what I call dimension of the field strength, and where and how you decide to be. Understanding the process of this line of the expansion of the soul of the creator needs itself a feedback line that creator knows how much is expanded to. We call it gravity. Gravitational field forces in the plasma is different than the gravitational field forces in the matter direction we call inertia. And the plasma of the creator, gravitational field forces, is at a point that is so low that it attracts everything into it. It's a black hole of the creation and not the black hole of the universe, where the black hole of our universe and within our universe falls within that black, where itself becomes the essence of the creation of the universe. The knowledge of the creation is of universe and creation is extensive. It's for man to unravel the truth about his own creation. And once you understand this, you start the step how to travel in the dimensions of the creation. In a way, if you understood, if I explained clearly last time, this past 2 weeks teaching, this light is your hydrogen, and this light is your connection to carbon. And the interaction of the field of the carbon creates what we call C60, or conformation of existence of the universe. This universe can be your physicality, or this universe can be the unique cause of the creation, depending on your comprehension of the understanding of the Creator. One day, in the teachings to come, I will explain in more and more detail that you understand. In the past 2 or 3 weeks, we're trying to give you a map, a bigger understanding of the bigger picture. That when it comes to nitty-gritties and to detailed understanding of the knowledge, you can see how you fit, where you fit. Then the things that has no ambiguity. How come I can go to the Creator direct, but I still travel the span of the universe and create a dimension of existence of the conformation? Very few, even they all have access, will ever see this light. A direct line to the world of creation of the Creator of it. And the rest are according to the strength of the fields they gather, are in the passage of different field strength of the dimension of the expansion of the unicos, the universe, and fields of the creation. The knowledge of man has to be complete in its totality, that man can understand the process of the creation. And this can be your soul, this can be your physicality, this can be the dimension of totality of man understanding of his own creation. In so many words, man needs to enter the world of creation. Man needs to understand his own world of creation. Man needs to complete his dimension of creation by understanding of his own creation and nothing else. The true process, the true structure, the true science of the creation, and not to befit to his understanding. Always stay open to understand more, but never put a line, this is all, according to what you understood. Because once you draw the line, you become prejudiced to the line you draw, and your knowledge and your extent of understanding further knowledge stops. We go for a break and we come back. But listen to the last 2 or 3 teachings 2 or 3 times together. And in the teachings to come, then many of you who want to go through transmutation and transportation will understand, see a bigger picture, and you don't land like Mr. mosque in the sea and still claim it to be a success. You still manage to launch a satellite, which we did 60 years ago, because we have not completed the understanding of the return. In the process of the creation, man has to understand the emotion. And if you don't understand the game of the emotion, you're that rocket which landed in the sea and you still claim success, because you're still stuck with the matter state understanding of the energy.